Imagine a life for a moment where you have clearly identified your goal and they actually feel within reach, like you can identify the runway between where you are and attaining that goal. Not only that, imagine a world where you're able to turn up at your best consistently. Now, that's not make-believe, that is absolutely possible and attainable for all of you. But what is that secret ingredient? How can we bring that to life? Well, the answer is probably going to surprise you. But in today's video, we're going to do a deep dive into the tactical and very actionable and completely free, almost completely free, points that are going to allow you to consistently perform and attain peak performance. Not only are you going to learn how to organize your thoughts, you're going to improve your metacognition, or your ability to think about your thinking. You're going to be less emotionally reactive and more proactively responsive, and you're going to transform your entire daily routine and way of being towards consistency and attainable peak performance. All right, so of course, what we're discussing is journaling. Now, don't switch off. Whenever I say the word journaling, most people roll their eyes, oh, for fuck's sake, more of this shit. But don't switch off. Give me a minute of your time. I'm going to start at the end, which is why most people have a problem with journaling and what those problems are. And I've clearly identified 3 leading problems that people have when it comes to being consistent when utilizing their journal. The first is that you approach journaling kind of like mobility or rehab. Now, what I mean by that is most people only go and see a physio when they're hurt, injured, and can't train. And then they diligently and religiously execute on the rehabilitation plan and the mobility protocols to get them back to training, to get them back to performing. But the second that the symptoms abate and that they feel a little bit better, the behavior just drifts away, and within a month, their training is back to how it was, and it's back to doing what got them injured in the first place. So that's the first reason. People treat journaling in exactly the same way. When they're feeling really low and really down, they realize the importance of looking after their mental health and well-being, so they start journaling, and then things start to look up, start to feel brighter, and they completely forget about it again. The second problem that I see most often with journaling is people literally just don't know what to write. There's very little clarity out there on tangible and real world application when it comes to journaling. And it's very easy to feel like we should be answering these existential questions or pouring our heartfelt emotions onto the paper every single day. But it really doesn't have to be the case. So we're going to touch on that. In fact, we're not just going to touch on that. We're going to go deep on that in today's videos. And I'm actually going to give you the 3 most common use cases for journaling and a couple of questions you can use for each of those use cases. So stay tuned, we're coming to that. The third problem I see when it comes to people journaling is they write far too much. And of course, that just becomes unsustainable. Humans categorically will not grow into pain. So if it becomes another thing to do when you're already overwhelmed, of course, you're not going to consistently do it. All of those things typically lead to feelings of overwhelm. And like I said, if you feel overwhelmed when you're already feeling overexerted, it's not something you can sustainably commit to, so it just drops off. But why is that even a problem? Like, why could we be consistently journaling? Why is that a problem? Why is it a problem if we kind of have boom and bust cycles of journaling? Why is it a problem if we use it sometimes and forget about it at others? If you understand the power and impact of journaling, and many of you watching this will understand how much better you felt, how much more clearly you saw your problems, how much less emotional you were on a regular basis. And when I say less emotional, I don't mean you numbed your emotions. I mean less reactive, less incendiary, far more proactive and responsive. Then you've realized how good journaling is for you, and you've realized that it is the tool that can not only get you out of the depths of despair, but can prevent you getting there in the first place. If you want to do it and you're not consistently doing it, every time you stop, you kind of fracture your self-confidence a little bit. You fracture your relationship with the journaling process just a little bit more. It takes much more energy to get something that stopped to start moving again. So if you're moving, slowing, stop, a lot of effort to get it moving again. And every time that happens, is that little devil in the back of your mind being like, well, you're not going to sustain this. You shit canned it last time. What's to say you're going to not do the same again? So it really is in our best interest, if you know that that it's good for you and it's really helpful to your mental performance and your mental well-being, that we just consistently adhere to it. And again, that's what I'm coming to. That's what we're going to discuss today. So instead of succumbing to all those challenges that I've already spoken about, there's 3 leading reasons why people don't consistently adhere to the practice of journaling. The new framework, the new paradigm, the new perspectives I want you to have on this is treat journaling like brushing your teeth. Okay, so stop treating it like physio, rehabilitation of ability, and start treating it like brushing your teeth. Now, hopefully, if you're watching this, you brush your teeth twice a day. You get up and sometime in the morning, you spend a couple of minutes brushing your teeth. You go about your day, couple of minutes in the evening, sometime before bed, you spend a couple of minutes brushing your teeth. And the reason you do that is in the morning, to ensure you don't go out into the world stinking of shit, and before bed, you don't take like toxic food remnants into bed. You get up and in the morning, you're just doing a bit of hygiene. You're just getting some cleanliness in there. You're just getting what was in out. You're objectifying it, you're seeing it, and you're getting that kind of, I don't want to use the word toxicity, but sometimes you wake up in a bad mood or you feel irritated or frustrated or confused, whatever it is, just getting it out, just having a bit of hygiene there. And the same again before bed, just making sure you're not taking that gunk from the day into bed with you that's then gonna run around in your mind and cause those invasive, intrusive, anxious thoughts. So that's the broad strokes I want you to approach all of the next 3 things I'm gonna tell you with. Treat journaling like brushing your teeth. Now, just like rehab, there are different exercises that you would do for different ailments. Now, journaling is exactly the same. There is no one-size-fits-all approach or one question that you should answer that gives you consistent results to varying different problems. That's just not going to happen. So instead, I've identified the 4 different use cases, or the 4 most popular use cases for journaling, and created a question set for each of those 4. Now, if I don't cover your particular challenge or set of problems, please just bang a comment in the comment section down below. That's what the comment section's for. And I say, hey, I have this. What would you recommend? Or are there any questions you can suggest? Or are there any resources you can send my way? But coming back to those 4 most common ones. The first is feeling tired but wired. So this is one of 2 types of what I refer to as restless exhaustion. So if you've had a long day, you've had lots of meetings, lots of timings, you've been running on caffeine and you're feeling kind of stressed, you know that you're tired, you know that you want sleep, your eyelids might even feel heavy, but you feel this agitation, activation in your brain. That's what we refer to as tired but wired, and it's a very, very real thing. Essentially what's happening is your energy is low, but your nervous system activation is high. So our initiative here with our journaling questions is to find ways to down-regulate that activation so that your activation meets your energy, and that's going to let you get a more restful night's sleep. So what we don't want to do here is ask questions that open a big can of worms. The last thing you want to ask yourself is, what's the meaning of life? What am I doing with my life? Am I in the right career? Fundamentally, they're just going to stimulate even more activation, some anxiety, some overwhelm, not what we need right now. We want to bring the activation down. So we can ask super simple questions of, well, what did I enjoy doing today? Who can I say thank you to? And those kinds of questions are designed to increase our serotonin levels. And serotonin is the neurotransmitter that's generally associated with like, love, satisfaction, contentment, all those things that are going to help us bring the activation, which is usually a mix of epinephrine and anandamide and dopamine. We're going to just bring that down a little bit and get us into a low activation state, which means that your sleep is going to be easier to come by. So that was the first. The second is when you have white space or when you have time off, but you still don't feel like you should, or you're allowed, or you have permission to sit still. Now, this is actually the second type of restless exhaustion. So we discussed the first type, being tired but wired. The second is having time off, having space, but not dare using that space. And you might get a day off or an afternoon off or a weekend off, and all you can do is like open Instagram, and then Instagram leads you to thinking about something productive. So you just have a quick dip into WhatsApp or Teams or Slack or your email. Before you know it, your mind's whirring away. Once again, energy is low, activation is high. And here's the thing that might hurt some people's feelings. You're doing it on purpose. You're doing it because in some way it's serving you. Because in some way being activated is making you feel useful. And you might be in a stage and season of life where you're questioning your worth, or you've got low self-esteem. But to be busy and to be doing is a really welcome distraction from that, and it's giving you a sense of activation. So I'm not going to go into all that today, but here's some journaling questions that can help you bring the activation down in that use case. We want to create feelings of self-esteem. So we can start asking questions like, well, what have I done well this week? What do I feel most confident about right now? Maybe things are going brilliantly in your relationship. Maybe things are going brilliant with your kids. Maybe it's your training. Maybe your training or your nutrition has been really, really consistent. There'll always be something in your life that is going well that you feel confident about and in. So we want to focus on that to increase and improve those feelings of self-worth and self-esteem, which again is going to lower that activation. Now, the third most common use case for a journal is when we're just feeling overwhelmed. When we have that feeling that we're spinning lots of plates and eventually it's an inevitability that some are going to crash, and we are terrified that if we drop some of those plates, that is catastrophic for our future. It's an attack on our identity, and it's just a lot of really negative and fearful emotions attached to feeling like we're overwhelmed. So what we need to do is begin to create order in the chaos. And the easiest way to do this, it will generally baffle you how simple this is and how effective it is once you've done it, is just create a mind map. In the center of the page, just write thoughts and then have everything. And I mean everything. This exercise will not work if you are avoiding anything. If you're like, oh, that's a dirty secret, I daren't talk about that, or I'm afraid to talk about that, or I'm embarrassed to put that bit in there. The breakthrough is in your embarrassment. Almost all times, the thing that you dare not admit to yourself is probably the thing that's holding you back the most. So get it all out. And once you've got all those things on paper, you're just going to go around and label them all. Either C for controllable or NC, November Charlie, for non-controllable. For all those things that you've labeled controllable, you're then just going to create the solution. So you're going to ask yourself the question, what's the plan? And you're going to create the plan for those. So if you've got a deadline and you're worrying about it, it's okay, cool, that's controllable. Send that email to Johnny Bravo, then it's in his court. Yeah, pass that responsibility to him. Yeah, make sure that delegate knows he's got ownership of that task. Happy. Make sure I've paid my gym membership. Yep, happy. And if for all the things that are non-controllable, you can just ask, well, have I got any control over it? No. So should I be worrying about it? Probably not. And it's just going to allow you to objectify your thoughts and get it out of your mind. Especially when you go to bed, if you've got those invasive, racing, anxious thoughts, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with you. It's just your brain telling you, this is important, remember this. This is important, remember this. So if you put it down on paper, your brain's like, he's got it, he's written it down, we can shut the fuck up now, which is going to help you get more restful sleep. And ironically, more restful sleep means you're going to deal with less challenges like this moving forwards. It really does compound over time. Now, the fourth and final most common use case for journaling is just not really feeling anything at all. Sitting down with pen and paper and being like, got nothing to say, don't feel anything. Now, the uncomfortable truth is that for most ambitious men, we're pretty good at retreating up into our head, typically numb from the neck down. That will have gained you a certain degree of success. As they say, chips on shoulders, put chips in pockets. And in order to work in the way required to create a degree of success, oftentimes you do have to self-abandon, you have to override your want for rest, you have to compartmentalize stress and do many of the things that are useful in the short term but are harmful in the long term. Now what we want to do to allow you to compound on that success, find fulfillment and attain peak performance is begin to check in with yourself. Because checking in with you allows you to regulate the nervous system, and we're playing a game of consistency. We're not here to just sprint. We're here to be consistently turning up. The goal of being a high performer is not to be a one-hit wonder. It's to be somebody who has just an impressive body of work over decades. lifelong career. That's what we're aiming for here. I want to invite you to get out of your head and into your body. So the way you're going to do that is only write down objective truths. So we're turning what if into what is. So it sounds remedial, but simply listing down some objective facts. I am wearing a green hoodie. I am drinking a cup of coffee. The sky is blue today. And we're avoiding any subjectivity. And it's just going to allow you to start becoming more grounded in the moment. And so often, high performance and psychological performance comes down to just seeing a better picture. And through doing that, you're indoctrinating and ingraining an ability to see a better picture and just bring us back to what is right now. So those are the 4 most common use cases for journaling. Set a time limit. That's designed to combat that issue of writing fucking War and Peace every time. If you're a beginner, I want you to set a time limit for 3 minutes. And you might listen to that and think, fucking hell, that's so remedial. What's even the point? Exactly. I'm doing that to guarantee success for you so you can consistently sustain it and change your routine, improve your behavior, maximize your habits, and optimize your performance. Now, once you've done that consistently for a couple of weeks or a month or so, then you can go up to the intermediate bracket. And I would say intermediate, really, maximal, 8 minutes. The amount that you can get down in like 8 minutes twice per day is profound. You then can go up to 10 or 12 minutes. If you're journaling for 10 minutes twice per day, that's 140 minutes spent training your mind every single week. Because the question I often ask guys is, how many hours per week do you spend training your body? And that can be anywhere from 3, 4, 5 up to 15 hours of training on their body per week. And then I ask them, how many hours do you spend training your mind? And no, listening to fucking Goggins, watching this video, listening to any one of a number of different podcasts, none of that counts as training your mind. That's consumption of content. That's like saying watching The Lion King is training your mind. You're just watching something. Training your mind is actively doing these processes and ones like them. And over 2 hours per week is a really fantastic place to be when it comes to training your mind. Now, before I leave you, there's one home truth that I'm going to hit you with. This is probably going to be the habit that's the first one you throw out the window when you get stressed, when life gets loud, when the tempo of life picks up, when you get new responsibilities. It's probably going to be the first thing you throw away or stop doing. The irony is that if you see it happening for a day or two, you could actually reflect on that in your journal. And it's really important that when you reflect on it, you just be kind to yourself. Intelligence can be defined as the rate of change after being presented with new information. So if you've got the information, what can I do differently? How can I improve my consistency with that? But with all that being said and done, I truly believe if you consistently implement everything we've spoken about in this video, you are going to have profound, meaningful, and tangible improvements in your consistency. And you can apply that to other things outside of journaling too. Now, if you want more strategies, tactics, and hacks like this, then I've left a link in the description where you can subscribe to get 27 ways in 27 days to improve mental performance and physical health and wellness. So punch down below if you want to do that. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.